you and I met through Twitter, and I think because I was a fan, or I am a fan of Conrad Thompson and his shows. But tell me a little bit about your relationship with Conrad, and have you been friends with him for a long time, or was it all once the podcast got up and going that
Oh, it
you?
was before the podcast.
Okay,
So I collect. I've been collecting wrestling belts for 25 years.
okay,
And back in the day, we had the Yahoo groups. We had a belt.
hmm
Belt collectors were on Yahoo,
okay,
and then with the internet, we were on bulletin boards like Belt Marks or uh, the Glory and the Gold. Belt Marks was the Glory and the Gold. And then it went to Belt Marks, and then later became Belt Talk. But the belt, most of my wrestling friends came through the belt hobby,
okay.
and that's how I met Conrad is because we were just through the belt groups, and I met him. I met him down in New Orleans at WrestleCon initially.
Okay.
The year that they had WrestleMania in New Orleans, it was the year that the Undertaker lost.
Okay. WrestleMania 30.
I didn't go to WrestleMania. I went to WrestleCon that day.
Okay.
My friend Russ Miller was one of my belt friends. I live now I'm in Mississippi. I live 3 hours from New Orleans. I drove down there to see him.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And we hung out, went to WrestleCon, went to the Hall of Fame that night.
All right.
And but he introduced me to Conrad, and he told me, say, "Hey, Conrad owns the big gold belt." Oh, that's cool. And fast forward to NWA Legends in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where we'd all meet up, and Conrad was there, and we hit it off.
All right.
We hit it off, and we've been friends since. In fact, we all started a group chat. We started the group chat just to coordinate meeting up in Charlotte. So then the group chat still goes today.
Yeah.
And we used to call it the think tank because when he started, he goes, "Hey guys, I'm going to sit in with Ric Flair on CBS podcast today."
Oh, cool.
And then, so from there, we were there for him doing the podcast with Flair.
I was fortunate, I listened to the Ric Flair podcast. That's how I first got air quote here introduced to Conrad. And then I just reached out to him, and probably within the first month or so of him doing something to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, I reached out to Conrad and just asked if he'd be a guest on my podcast. And I'd only been doing the podcast a couple of years at that point. And he was like, "Yeah, sure, man." And it sent me his phone number, and we talked for, I don't know, a half an hour or so, and knocked out the show. And I met him a year later at the he and Bruce were doing a live show in St. Louis, and I drove up. I live in Southern Illinois now, and drove up for that, and I got to
I
meet up.
was
He's so awesome. Hearing him talk and then talk about you guys, and even the co-hosts, some of the co-hosts, I feel like I'm friends with these people, even though maybe our only meetings have been on social media. But it's a cool experience, and it's a great way. Again, like social media can be divisive, but it can also be uniting and connecting fans like us. So I'm
well,
appreciative for that.
that was Conrad's vision for ad-free shows. It was based on our group chat with our wrestling friends. He wanted everybody to have wrestling friends.
Hmm.